Hello, everyone, and welcome to Girls Take Over Tech 2020. I am very excited to have Erin Page with us today. She is from GKN Mebane, and Erin is going to talk to us about her company and also a little bit about possible careers at GKN and her own pathway. So thank you so much for your time today, Erin, and the floor is yours.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me to speak today. So GKN is an automotive company in Mebane, North Carolina. It's right off the Trollingwood exit. So we're only one or two exits away from ACC. I started, so we make automotive components for vehicles that you drive on the road, for Ford, GM, Honda, Toyota, and we are a machining facility. We send our parts up to Roxborough, about an hour north, for assembly, and then from there they go to our customers. So I started here as a supervisor. I have an industrial engineering degree, but you get a lot of hands-on experience, and you see a lot of opportunities when you start at the level of where people are doing the work. So I really cherished that time that I had working with the people that do the jobs, that work with the equipment and the machines, so that when I did transfer into the engineering department, I had a lot more knowledge than had I just, my career path wasn't exactly, get my degree and start engineering right away. It was get your degree and then learn about an industry through supervising. Because ultimately, unless you have a complete just floor of machines and you have no people, which is very rare, you're going to need to work with people. So starting in a role like supervision is really healthy, and it's a really good start for an engineering journey. So I started doing that. I started doing supervising, and then I went into the engineering department as an industrial engineer. And then now I am a launch manager. So every year you have a new model of the new Ford F-150, the new Bronco, the new Sienna, whatever is new. And all of that testing and all of that production needs to start about 2 years in advance. So making sure that all of the departments are talking to each other, that the quality engineers are talking to the manufacturing engineers, and they're working with the value streams to make sure that we have the people and the time and the planners and everybody involved. I make sure that everybody talks to each other, and that all of our prototype builds and our pre-designed builds get completed on time, so that they can launch that new Bronco or the new whatever.
Right.
So yeah, so that's what I do here. And it's surprising that when you start with a company, there's so many different roles that you can roll into with the experience and with some type of technological knowledge. So I could have been an engineer and then gone into program launch. I could have gone into buying, so procurement. So when you order a new machine to make a product, you need to have knowledge, a whole lot of knowledge about the product you're making, about how the machine interacts with the people, how the machine is going to be on the floor, how it's going to be powered, how it's going to be hooked up, and how you're going to launch that. So I could have gone into procurement. I could have gone into project management with installing new equipment. So there's a whole rainbow of roles that you can get into with some technical education.
That's awesome. And I would like to follow up on that. So if we have students that are interested in working for GKN, what are possible careers at your company? You already talked a little bit about engineering and going into procurement or program launch, etc. But what else could you do at GKN?
We have a lot of machining roles.
Okay.
We have a lot of if you are a machine operator, you can start there and then go into being like a setter. So you can set up the equipment to run. So you're kind of an advanced technician. You can be a team leader. You can be you can get into supervisor. You could start planning. One of our planners started working on our paint line. So she was just an operator on the paint line. She's got a degree and just kind of waited until the role came open and she went after it. And she got it because, she's got the expertise and she's got the education. And so she's just done great.
Great.
Yeah. And shipping, we've got like a lot of shipping going on between our suppliers and up to Roxborough. So there's a lot of opportunities there. Yeah.
Awesome. That sounds like a great company to work for.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do so you can find a role that's a good fit. I love working with people and talking to people and just talking in general. So I found a role that is actually a really good fit for me.
Right.
There's other roles where you're not going to see a bunch of people and you're not going to talk to people on a regular basis. So if you get energy by, just kind of being by yourself, so if you're more introverted and, along those lines, you'll find a role that will make your being happy. So however you find your energy and whatever makes you feel good, you can find it here.
That sounds great. And it sounded like there are also opportunities for advancement to progress into another role and just try out something else or become a supervisor or something like that. So that's really good. And I think that's the benefit of being with such a big company as GKN too.
It is. And there's something about our county that we have. It is a small world. So like anywhere you go, whether you go to GKN, obviously if you're a GKN, you're going to be a GKN employee. But like if you go to Rego products or if you go, like anywhere in the county, you will find somebody that worked at GKN.
That is true.
So, even, working at GKN has like a name to it, right? Like they're very fast paced. There's always change happening and you're making new products every year. You're having new tooling and you have new products you need to make. And so the environment's ever changing and it's not for some people. I'm going to put that out there. The last company I worked for, we made the same product for years and years and years because, it works. And so you stick it, right?
Right.
And, it kind of got boring. So I
can imagine.
I went somewhere else because you need, when you've got one product and that's all you make, you don't need a whole lot of engineers that are constantly thinking of new ways to do things or new things to make. So now I work here and there's always change and there's always something new happening. And it's very exciting. So if you've worked at GKN, people know what goes on at GKN and, you kind of have, you can like kind of wear that on your lapel or something. Like, yeah, I worked for GKN, and everybody knows.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yes, I have met a lot of people that were like, oh yeah, I used to be at GKN. Yeah, you're definitely right. It comes up a lot. And you're right about the county being small or this place being very small as well. So that's awesome. So let's talk a little more about your pathway. What type of engineering degree did you have?
Industrial engineering.
Okay. Can you tell me a little more about that?
Sure. So industrial engineering is where finance meets engineering, at least at GKN, it's kind of where finance meets production and
cool.
engineering. But a lot of other companies, it looks a little bit more like, if you imagine going to Subway, an industrial engineer designed the table that they make the sandwiches on because they put the lettuce right up front. So they don't have to go very far to put the lettuce because they put it on every sandwich. But if you wanted spinach, you got to they got to reach all the way to the back to put the spinach on the sandwich because not everybody ordered spinach. So they want to make sure that the workstation is more ergonomic, and they want to make sure that you can make as many sandwiches as fast as you can. So so an industrial engineer designed the workstation for the employee so that they could make as many pieces as they could. And it's all about efficiency and ergonomics and safety. So that's what I went to school for.
That's awesome. That was a really good example, by the way. That made so much sense. So thank you for bringing that up. So if we had any students that were interested in going into a similar position that you have right now, what advice would you give them? Like school-wise, any specific classes you think they should take, or any extracurricular activities that would be beneficial? Anything you can think of?
I took safety courses. And I'm really glad I did. So I took like at my college, they had a master's program for OSHA and safety. So I signed up to take those as electives because once you start working in a plant, they don't teach that to you. They don't teach you what the OSHA standards are, and it's everywhere. So to go into a manufacturing facility, having that safety knowledge is paramount. Because it doesn't matter how many times you've got on-time delivery. If somebody goes home hurt, then it's not worth it. Because the people that work here are our friends and family and neighbors, and home safe.
Yeah, that's very, very important. But besides the OSHA classes or safety classes, do you think math is very important? Because that's the question that we get asked a lot. Do I need math? A lot of times we're like, for engineering, that makes sense, yes. But what would you say? Anything else that you think would be beneficial?
Math is important. Math is very important. I guess I take for granted that I was really good at math, which is why I went into engineering. Because like I said, it's kind of, especially for industrial engineering, it's where kind of finance hits up to the manufacturing plant. So math is important. What else would be important?
Maybe soft skills. Do you think there are any soft skills that are just specifically important?
Yes, being able to communicate clearly is very, very important. Understanding how to send emails that are concise and how to really get to the point of what you're trying to communicate, that's very important. And making sure that you spell things correctly and, you know, I don't know, but communication skills are very, very important.
Good. So now, since this is Girls Take Over Tech and we do have a focus on girls, did you ever have like a mentor or anybody that helped you through that? Because I can imagine it's a little different being a woman in this very male-dominated area. There goes the light.
My lights went off.
Yeah, that happens to me in my office all the time. So I'm used to that. Okay. So mentors, did you have a mentor? And Are there any advice? Is there any advice on how to find a good mentor?
I've always found a mentor almost accidentally. Is
Okay.
you yeah you know, you would like to have at some point, and you approach them with, you know, here, my name is Erin, and I think what you do is very important, and I would like to be the manager when I grow up.
Uh-huh.
What could I do to get there? You know, that's something that's helpful. I've had one of my mentors ask me what I want to be when I grow up, and I've had another that I told, I'm going to do this someday, so you better watch out. And then they, you know, in a joking way, and then they kind of help you get to where you want to be.
Right. Was it the same thing you're doing now, or was that something completely different?
They were different things.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Is there anything you would like our students to know? Anything you would like to add before I let you go?
It's a hard world. The world is hard.
True.
And you ask for help.
Right.
So I'll leave it there. If you feel like you are overwhelmed, ask for help. Always, there's no shame in saying, hey, hold on a minute. I need some help. Because it is tough. It is a tough world. So don't be afraid to ask for help.
That is very, very true. And I think we all reach that point sometimes when we're just too overwhelmed and we don't know how to survive the next day.
Yeah.
So yes, that's a very good advice. All right, Erin, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for speaking to us about your company and your role and your career. And we really do appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.